Hello, every so often I try to do something like a speed drawing, and this is another attempt at that. And honestly, this is one of those times where I have an idea and I execute it, and it pretty much turns out how I imagined it, which is cool because that doesn't always happen. Sometimes I have an idea and I try to execute it, and I end up liking the result, but it's not how I originally pictured it. The idea was to have pineapple rings coming off of the pineapple itself with a splash of juice in the background. I decided that I wanted to do a series of different foods, and I asked some suggestions from some people I know, and someone suggested pineapple, and I had an idea for that right away, so that is what I was going with. Also, side note, not about the drawing, but about the recording itself. I'm recording the whole Krita window instead of using Krita's in-feature recording device. I don't know how that works. I haven't even used it. But I know there's been a lot of, fake AI speed drawing videos coming out. And I don't think anyone's going to accuse me of doing AI because I don't think my art looks like AI. But just in case, I decided I'm gonna do the hard version and just record the whole window and speed it up and edit it myself. Anyway, I always feel like I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say when doing voiceovers, especially for drawings, because it's like, I'm drawing. Yep, still drawing. Versus, if I'm recording, an event, or if I'm recording myself at the store, I can explain what I'm looking at and why. But a drawing is yeah, I'm just drawing. But I guess you can see what I'm doing in this drawing is, first I do a rough guess of what I want it to look like, and then instead of doing a line art over it, I always just clean up the sketch, so I go back and I fix any mistakes, or I make the lines thinner or thicker based on how I think it should look. And I also do that, as I'm coloring, though. If I'm coloring and I realize there needs to be a difference in the lines for some reason, I change it then, too. So it's really just everything all at once until it looks like how I want it to look like. It's not so much, first I do the sketch, and then I do this, and then I do this, and then I do this. It's just, kind of more chaotic than it's supposed to be. Or I don't know if it's supposed to be. I mean, everyone does art differently, but from how I see a lot of people do speed drawings, a lot of people just have a different process than me, a process that seems much more cohesive. And I think that's okay because I think if I tried to do it that way, I would get frustrated and stop drawing. But of course, I do still try to apply some technical skill and have a rough idea of how to make my vision come to life. Because if I didn't, it just would not happen. So there has to be some organization to it, but it's messy organization. It's there's a spot for everything, but sometimes it's not in the spot, and I might have to put it back 3 or 4 times. So on the screen, you can see in the drawing, I put down some flat colors. I put some really pale yellow for the pineapple and some pastel green for the stem, which most of that green gets covered up, but I like to have it there as a base anyway. I think some of the yellow in the pineapple ends up still shining through, but I do cover it up with a lot of different shades of yellow and orange. Also, I only use 2 brushes in this painting. I use some sort of paint-looking brush and the eraser. Sometimes I use a few more than just one, but oftentimes I don't think to change my brush. I'm just drawing what my brain tells me to do, and it comes out in a way I like it, so it's good enough for me. But other times there is, a way I want my drawing to look, and the brush just isn't doing it, and no matter what brush I try to use, it doesn't do it. So I think the brushes aren't so important to me as much as just trying to get the drawing to look like what I want it to look like, and sometimes the perfect brush can't do that, and sometimes the most boring brush can. So I often end up only using like one or two brushes. And while that's kind of something I like about myself, that like it doesn't matter what tools I have at my disposal, I can still figure out how to make something I like most of the time. I also quite envy people who know how to utilize different brushes and can get different textures and stuff that I just either can't do, or if I can, it'll take a lot more work because I don't know how to use the tool properly, so I have to use a different tool to mangle a semi appearance of what that other tool can do with what I can do. Um, so it's definitely a different skill set that I have not unlocked, but I like the skill set I do have. So it's not better or worse, it's just like the way I do it currently. And the way I paint or shade, I don't know if it has much rhyme or reason to it. I just know to use a darker color of the color you're using for the shading and a lighter color for the lighting. And I try to use a good variety, and the more colors I use, even within the same shade, it tends to come out looking better than if I'm using less colors. Of course, I could go for a simplistic look and have less colors, but I do tend to use more. I guess in my brain, more is better, which isn't always the case, but that is often what I end up doing. And while I was talking about shading, you could see in the drawing that I was putting little notches in the pineapple and making little triangles because I was looking at reference photos on my computer and I was seeing that, oh, okay, they're not perfectly circular, they're kind of rigid. They kind of have these little notches in them, so I did erase some lines and put those notches in, like I said earlier, where, like, I'll do an initial sketch and I'll clean it up, and then I'll start coloring, and then I'll clean up the sketch more or change the sketch more, and it is just an all at once kind of mashup of getting the piece to its final state. And then also I decide that the splash I have on the screen is not quite enough, so I add some behind the pineapples too, and I think that made it much more of a full image and not just it's not just like framing it, it's also just like a part of it now, if that makes sense. And I started filling in the stem, so it's not that bright pastel green anymore, it's more like earthy browns and greens. And I go back to that a few times and add different colors and shades because I kept feeling like it wasn't quite right. But I think I ended up with something that I liked by the end of it. So this is my first digital drawing in a while. The last couple of weeks I've been doing a lot of traditional art. I've been drawing backgrounds and anime characters, and I've been doing hand studies. But the anime characters, I wanted to get good at drawing anime characters because honestly, I think it's one of the hardest cartoon styles to achieve. I feel like you get one little thing wrong and it looks like wonky as all heck. But I feel like I got to a point where it's like, it's pretty good. I want to keep practicing, but it's pretty good. It's not so wonky anymore. I want to translate that to digital art too, so I will be drawing some anime characters digitally. But for now, I'm just doing some food to get myself warmed up and started back on the digital art that I took a break from to do traditional art. And at some point, I need to get back on painting, and then I need to get back on traditional art, and then I need to get back on digital art, and the cycle needs to keep rotating so that I always that I'm not getting rusty at any specific medium, that I can always feel like I can do it all, even though I can't do it all, but you know what I mean, like, as much as possible. But honestly, the main thing I need to get back on is animating. That's something that I feel like is always in my brain, and I'm always like, oh, you could just do like a quick little one, just to get the warm up, the rustiness off of you. But I've been procrastinating animating for a long time. I'd say 2D especially because I feel like that's the one I'm more confident in, and if I just applied myself, then I could probably get some stuff out that I would be proud of. Also 3D, but modeling and rigging is hard, so I'm more likely to start some 2D animation, and I hope that I do soon, because I'm always nagging my own brain to hop on the digital 2D animation. I could do traditional animation too, I guess, but I feel like the computer definitely helps a lot with that. Anyway, about the drawing, I looks like I got the pineapple mostly colored here, and what I'm doing now is erasing the overfill around what I've colored in. I know a lot of people, they like select their lines and then they color within that so they don't have to do that. And there's probably other ways to prevent this also, but I do actually enjoy erasing the outlines after I'm done coloring. It feels like a nice little reward. It's like, oh, all the coloring, phew, that was hard. Now let's just take away the messy parts and then, wah, it's clean. And I like that reveal. So I do it my way, even if it's not the most efficient. I do it my way. I feel like a lot of the time when I watch speed paintings, they're talking about like some sort of drama over it, like some sort of drama in the art community, revolving AI or revolving someone tracing or some sort of convention drama, just something so dramatic that is fun to listen to while you watch someone draw, but isn't really talking about the art. But I don't have drama to talk about, and I'm not good at talking about my art. So I don't know how I filled up most of this speed painting with talking, but I did it. Um, yeah. And I'm filling out the splashes here with color, so yep, doing that. And just like everything else, I just add lots of colors around the same shade and darker ones and squiggly lines, and somewhere along the way it ends up looking a little bit like a juice or water splash. And one, two, three, kind of four of the water splashes or juice splashes are shaped like hearts, so I thought that was a cute addition. And I feel like after the splashes were done being colored in, it's mostly complete. It looks pretty good. I was happy looking at it. I do end up alpha locking the line art and changing the lines not black, but to like a dark version of the colors it is, like the pineapples. I originally did like a dark orange and I decided that's too much, so I did like a dark orangey brown, and the splashes are a more vibrant one, and the pineapple itself is like a dark brown or something, and I think it looks good together. Oh, but then I do some I do some cleaning up of the juice splashes, and then I make some more darker colors in the juice splashes, and then I change some colors in the stem, and generally just, I guess, finishing touches. Like there's always a point where, okay, this is pretty much done, but is it? So you like tweak it some more. And I feel that way all the way up until the point where I am done and I'm done, but I have to stare at it for a while and be like, but am I? And eventually you just have to say like, yeah, I'm done. And sometimes that bites you in the butt because you post it and an hour or a day later you're like, oh, something's wrong here and I need to fix it. And you can't because you already posted it, but oh well. You can fix it before you print it if you put it on products, but there's no point in deleting it and re-uploading it, in my opinion. So, yeah, but that doesn't happen all the time, thankfully. It does happen sometimes. So, yeah, that's my pineapple painting in speeded up form. I hope I'll do more of these. I think I need to practice being entertaining. But yeah, I want to do more of these. They probably won't be uploaded consistently, probably just sporadically. I also like to make videos about dolls because I like dolls, so sporadically there will be doll videos on my channel, and there already is if you want to check them out. Sometimes YouTube age restricts me, even though I'm 26, because they think I look like a child. So there probably is some videos of me talking about dolls on the channel, but maybe there isn't. I don't know. Depends on what YouTube wants to do to I hope you like my pineapple. If you watch this whole video, wow, I'm impressed. Thank you for watching. Yep. Yep. Okay, bye. My phone said I was singing. I was not singing. Singing. Okay, bye.